Hey everyone, Jameson here, and welcome back to the Nordic Sound channel. Now, before we get started with reviewing Bear the Storyteller's latest album, do not forget that if you're enjoying the content, to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that YouTube will actually show you the content that you subscribe to. And seriously, likes are just super important to YouTube's algorithm, so if you think we've got a good thing going on here and you'd like to see it grow, hit the like button. It's the easiest thing you can do to help support the channel. So today I have an album for you all from Bear the Storyteller. Bear is a Spanish musician hailing from the hills of Cordoba, and while, yes, of course, this is the Nordic Sound channel, I feel compelled all the same to just bring Bear the Storyteller's music to your attention, just in the spirit of supporting awesome new music. Also, my channel, my rules, that's the beauty of YouTube. But snarky comments aside, a lot of the artistry and aesthetics present in Bear the Storyteller's music will be pretty familiar to you all, as he does border on dark folk in a way that emphasizes spiritual themes, personal journeys, and a deep-seated nostalgia for an enigmatic, better time behind all of us. So let's get into why Bear the Storyteller's latest album is worth giving a listen and see how much I can offend the entire Spanish-speaking world with my pronunciations of these track names. Let's get into it. Let's just get right into the weeds here. L'ermitaño que coronó les nubes is a concept album which tells the story of a hermit who crowns the clouds. The story Bear tells through the length of the album by narrating musically 3 sonic passages filled with emotions, depicts the journey undertaken by a hermit, which starts in the oppressive darkness of a cave and follows him all the way to the summit where he ultimately crowns the clouds in the radiance of the great sun. It is a journey between shadow and light. There's sadness in the echo of the days that have already passed, glossed with the joy that illuminates these distant memories, threaded with a familiar melancholy to Neofolk that overlays the way we view that past, and a yearning for times that fade away. Bear continues to write in his liner notes, "With every step, the illusion of moments yet to be lived is woven, like flashes of hope on the horizon, waiting to be explored. It is a poem written with tears and laughter, a unique melody that resonates in the heart, revealing the magic of this journey called life." Now, I talk to you guys all the time about potential dangers with concept albums, particularly of this magnitude, overpromising and under-delivering. But no, this is not the case with the hermit who crowns the clouds. Instead, what I have found in this concept album is a work of art on the scale that composition students in conservatories only dream of accomplishing and very rarely achieve so. In these melodies, harmonies, and powerful moments of musical storytelling threaded throughout this musical narrative is a thoroughly compelling journey that sticks with you long after that needle stops. Now, the sound palette you can expect to hear on this album is one that is primarily of Spanish or classical guitar, but there is plenty of percussion as well that gives it a unique character, particularly the frame drum and tambourine, which fans of dark folk could be very familiar with. But there's also a track that features what I believe is a glockenspiel or something similar, and then of course threaded throughout the whole album as well is plenty of flutes and strings, which give it that nice neofolk borderline soundtrack sound to it. They keep the album sounding fresh and they keep the listener on their toes throughout the length of the album, but at the core of the album's writing is Bear's talent for writing and playing the classical guitar. Now, the album kicks off with La Casiera de los Sueños, following the narrative by starting us in a dark, damp cave with overlaid eerie strings and drums in the deep. Finally, though, that gives way to a march where the harp comes in to sort of set a new tone and to introduce us to the guitar that makes its entrance about halfway through this track. And then the track finishes with a fun dance between the guitar and the tambourine. And then after the dense orchestration of the opening track, Bruma lays bare the guitar work in a beautiful 3-part composition, which puts Bear the Storyteller's musicianship for the classical guitar on full display. This track features an artful use of that glockenspiel, or whatever it is, I'm pretty sure it's a glockenspiel, which builds towards a tense march, which closes out the track and builds that drama that is sort of teased to us in the liner notes introductory to the album. Now, Mufosu opens with a killer, fast, intense guitar passage that shows Bear is far from a one-trick neofolk Pony. And this is definitely the track with the most Spanish influence from as far as I can tell. And then Segundo features a beautiful descending guitar line that just gives me goosebumps every time I listen to it. And I absolutely love the polyrhythmic interplay between the guitars. In my interview with Evastaden, from a few days ago, we talked about West African influences of polyrhythms, and those are just so present in this track in particular, the way that the guitars are playing through and within one another. This track also, just like in terms of like setting and atmosphere, sounds very much like a misty forest valley to me. The Magicus Natura is a standout track for me, featuring the best and most imaginative use of percussion on the album, and then closing out the track with a waltz between the guitar and the flute. An all-around very charming track that definitely sticks with you. And then we finally come to the halfway point with Olivos y Azahar, featuring guest vocalist Sar Zamora. As the first half of this album can like blend together in atmospheric instrumental work, Olivos y Azahar does a great job in grounding the record and the narrative before it risks meandering, as so many albums of this nature can. And then also, Zar Zamora's voice is such a phenomenal addition to the journey that is the Hermit who crowns the clouds. She has an amazing voice that especially shines in the second half of this track when things turn more major and ethereal than the opening minor section. I think this is just the highlight track of the album for me, and hope to see these two work together more in the future. They just made a very awesome duet between the guitar and the voice. Now, comfortably in the second half of the album, Sangre de Oro y Fuego puts us back in the realm of flute-decorated guitar duets, with the frame drum continuing to ground listeners who may not be as familiar with listening to Spanish or classical guitar. I adore the cuckoo riff, or motif in the flute that becomes the cantus firma, or the foundation of the B section, with a beautiful cello line. Especially in the C part of this track, the cello really is the star of the show on Sangre de Oro y Fuego. And then with Zevro, we have the Neofolk track, featuring a slowly strummed melancholic guitar over frame drum and decorated with droning strings. Fans of Osi and the Jupiter will definitely appreciate this track. And then with tracks 9 and 10, we have Eterna Hiedra and Gran Sol, which are two tracks that act as one in my perspective, but with some of the most striking guitar work on the entire album. Before we find ourselves on the final and title track, L'ermitaño que coronó les nubes, the Hermit who crowns the clouds. Now, the title track immediately throws something new into the mix with incredible harmonic work on the guitar, and shows that saving something entirely new for the final track on an album is a bold move that can really pay off. I also really love the use of the frame drum and other percussion in this track, as this cut perfectly narrates a treacherous climb towards something better. But there's also a twist at the end of this song, and thus at the end of the album in the last 10 seconds or so, that I want all of you to find for yourselves. I will not be spoiling it here, because it sort of left me with this big grin across my face as I was like, did he just do that narratively? It's pretty cool. It's a good move. So all in all, The Hermit Who Crowns the Clouds, sparing any more of my Spanish pronunciation, is a strikingly original album that takes classical and Spanish guitar and puts it firmly into an artful neofolk format which blends the worlds of soundtrack, classical composition, and earthy folk. I really hope you will not only check out Bear the Storyteller's latest album, but his beautiful backlog of music as well. He creates such an enchanting world with his music, and every album brings you into his story world, which makes Bear the Storyteller just the perfect epithet for his music. And so guys, thank you for watching. That is my review of Bear the Storyteller's The Hermit Who Crowns the Clouds. Any Spanish speakers watching, I hope that wasn't too painful for you. Definitely put myself out in the nude there. But thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more album reviews to come, and I really hope that you enjoy Bear the Storyteller's music. Take care.